Well, here we are on Cricbuzz Live, halfway through the second T20 international between India and England. And at the very start, let me announce the good news and the bad news from Michael Vaughan's perspective. The good news is, in terms of a prediction, he got it spot on. I wouldn't say bad news, but the flip side of it, Michael, is that you would probably have wanted a few more from Team England.
Yeah, just a little bit of fortune on my behalf. Yeah, I think when you look at the last 5 overs, England were well set to go and get 180, 190, even 200 if it had gone remarkably well. To only score 35 in the last 5 was a tremendous effort from India. They worked out the ball, those slow balls wider to the left-handers. Thakur, I thought, was magnificent. And the key wicket of Owen Morgan, he was set to go on and play one of those cameo innings that we've seen him play so often in the past. India will be delighted, but you know, the pitch continues to play like it did in those last 5 or 6 overs where the cutters were really grabbing in the surface. I still think it's going to be a competitive score.
Having a look at these bowling figures, Zaheer, not much to choose in terms of runs conceded. Only 5 bowlers to choose from for Virat Kohli, and the span between the most expensive and the least expensive, just 6 runs. So overall, you'd have to look at the 5 bowlers and say consistent performance.
Well, when you're playing with 5 bowlers, you hope that this is how the bowling card should look, and I think Virat will be pretty pleased to see this kind of a bowling card. All the bowlers played their part. I felt Hardik also coming back to bowling those full quota of his overs was a great sign for the Indian team. I think they executed their plans well. The plan was pretty clear. Not to give that one-dimensional pace on the bat to this English batting lineup. That's something which was discussed. It was quite evident. They focused on using their variations. Bhuvneshwar Kumar to start with. When you get that early wicket, it's always makes things easy as a bowling unit, and that's what we saw today. That gave liberty to Virat also to use Washington Sundar in the power play. I think that was the important factor there. If that had not happened, then when you're playing with 5 bowlers, you have to juggle around everyone, and then your plans kind of don't stay what you had thought of. So from that point of view, I think the bowling lineup will be very happy to do the job. But now it's up to the batters to go out there and make sure get the series 1-1.
Michael, I know we talked about the previous game when, because of the right-handers, you had Chahal bowling in over in the power play, you had Akshar Patel who bowled in over. But given that it is Washington Sundar's territory in a sense, things seem back to normal as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, when you only got 5 bowling options, you want your matchups, but when you've only got 5 options, it sometimes doesn't allow you to have those matchups all the time. I thought Virat was very good. I thought he manoeuvred his 5 bowlers very cleverly at the right times to the different players and the different batters. You're looking at 164, and if India are honest, and again, you've always got to be honest in a performance. The fielding was atrocious. They should have really restricted England to 150 if they'd have fielded anything like an international team should do. So that'd be one area that Virat will be saying to his team, all right, England have got 164, but if we're being ultra critical on ourselves and we want to be the world champions in a few months' time, we can't go out and field like we've just done for those 20 overs. We weren't quite at the race. It's not easy. They say the lights are a little bit hard to pick the ball out of the skylight at this new great stadium, but they need to be fielding that little bit better if they're going to be world champions in a few months' time.
But Zaheer briefly mentioned Hardik Pandya. First time since he had that surgery coming back, first time he's actually bowled his full quota of 4 overs. So be it as a Mumbai Indians player or be it, of course, for Team India, this is the role you want him to play. Absolutely.
And we did mention the fact that it changes the balance. Today they could go in with only 5 bowlers, including Hardik as a 5th bowling option. That is the luxury which we're talking about. That is the balance which we're talking about. They could afford to play someone like Surya Kumar Yadav today because of that. So I think when he's consistently bowling that, and you get one more batter who can chip in with the ball, that will give you 6th bowling option, and that is something should be the plan going forward. But nonetheless, I think Hardik bowling his full quota of overs after a long time and doing it well is a great positive sign for Indian team going forward.
Well, for England, they would have liked at least one player to carry on to get a big one. And the one who looked most like getting it, Michael, was Jason Roy. Missed out on a half century in the first game. Once again, it was Washington Sundar who got his number finally, short of a half century. But yes, he'll be pleased with his form. But I think if you have to be a little harsh, at least one of these two he would have liked about 80 on the board.
Yeah, I mean, and you knew it was coming when Washington Sundar bowled to him. You knew what he was going to try and do. He was going to try and hit a few sixes into the stand. I do think sometimes players, because of that matchup and because this modern way of thinking is a right-hander against an off-spinner, it's your role to go and take that off-spinner into the stands for a few deliveries. Sometimes you've got to assess the pitch, the conditions, and it's not always on that every ball can be hit for six. You're looking at Bairstow, you're looking at Jason Roy. Pretty much every time they face an off-spinner, they've got one school of thought, and that's to hit a six every single ball. Cricket doesn't allow you to do that. It's near on impossible to hit every single delivery for six. It'd be great if they could, but they can't. It's just impossible. So Jason Roy, yeah, he played nicely. He's back in form. He's a wonderful player. But in the back of his mind and also in the back of the team's mind, they must be thinking if he'd have got an 80 as an individual, that score would have been 180, 190, which would have been a lot harder for India to chase second time round.
And of course, in terms of the finishers, we won't really assess them because it was full credit to India. As you saw, Shardul Thakur leading the way with those off-cutters, got a wicket off that, as well as kept the runs down. Ben Stokes could have been lethal even in that last over.
Absolutely, I think the variations have worked very well for Shardul today for sure. Especially that off cutter, and you had two left-handers batting at that stage as well. So that obviously helped him to continue with that tactic, and the wicket also allowed him to do that today. So I think the back 5-6 overs, maybe that the credit has to be given to the bowlers, the way they applied themselves, kept it simple. Back their plan, back the variations, and that really paid dividend to them.
Now, the interesting talking point will be the approach. Michael, we talked about England's possible approach in the first game, and that's exactly how they came out, because you wanted to treat a total or mistreat a total at times, if you like. But in this, it's that middling sort of total. Just let me put a stat out in front of you. India, only on one occasion at home, have ever failed to chase a total of 164 or below. And that was a square turner in Nagpur in the T20 World Cup in 2016. But other than that, it's been 100% record for India of total. So do you reckon India will, with someone like Ishan Kishan in his mindset, will come out all guns blazing?
Yeah, they should. Those first 6 overs are there to be maximised. Two fielders outside the 30-yard circle. You have to go for it in T20 cricket. If India can get to 50 plus in the first six without too much damage. I mean, there were 3 down quickly in that first game, so that'll be in the back of their mind. But yeah, you've got to use the first 6. You've got to be aggressive. England will bowl into the surface. They're not going to land it on a plate full of a length. They might try and swing it for the first over. Once that goes, it'll just be slow balls and heavy, hard deliveries into that kind of, making sure the ball's coming hip high, height through to the keeper. It won't be an easy chase. England are smart in the field. They're an electric fielding team. And Owen Morgan's obviously a very, very clever captain. So as much as the stats and the history is in the favour of the Indian team for chases, to kind of chase this kind of score, I think England will make it very difficult for them.
Zaheer, quick word about the new man coming in here, Ishan Kishan. You've seen him in that dressing room. Does he even have a first gear?
Well, I think I hope that he continues with the same kind of style. And playing the first game is never an easy one. Obviously he's going to have those nerves, but it's just about soaking in that pressure, and when once things start rolling, you feel relaxed and normal. So that is something which we are looking forward to. The new ball is going to be very critical. You've got to be aggressive. The back 10 of the run chase is not going to be easy when those into the wicket slow ones are going to come into play. So that is something which I'm sure the batting lineup must have thought of. We'll have to wait and see how the new ball goes.
Yeah, certainly will. It need not always be all out. Remember, there's no Mark Wood. Remember, it's Jofra Archer will be there, but Sam Curran has been given the new ball. Michael, before we wrap up the show, indication of a little bit of change of pace.
Yeah, they'll look for swing. Sam Curran, if he's taken the new ball the first over, it'll be because they'll fancy him swinging the first 6 balls. I don't think it'll swing a great deal after that. But if there's one bowler in the England team that's going to find a bit of swing, it'll be Sam Curran.
Certainly will. That's where we have it. A verdict from the studio is it's not going to be easy. The records might show that India have done it every time but one at home, but we still feel it's going to be a bit of a challenge from England's bowlers, just like they did with the bat the other night. Can it be 1-1 or can it be 2-0 to England? We will find out and, of course, assess the situation at the halfway mark on Cricbuzz Combox. Till then, it's goodbye from Cricbuzz Live.